Welcome to my channel, Crafting with Cami. Today I'm creating a double page scrapbook layout, and instead of starting on white daisy like I normally would, or white cardstock as my background, I have some Glacier here, and that's a coordinating color for the paper collection I'm wanting to bring in. So my thought process is to bring in the Lake Life collection. This was a close to my heart product that Stampin' Up! Sold. So I still have quite a few stickers on the sticker sheet. And then I have this water paper with the paddles, and I have some scraps, some fish, this boat ride, relax in the sun, and then some kayaks. You've seen me use this before. I still have some of the punch outs and stickers that I've just stuck in another baggie here. So Glacier is a coordinating color for this paper collection. The photos I'm documenting today are of us paddleboarding. So I'll probably bring in some of the paddles, for sure the water. I think this will be a great collection. And then we were out at a lake, so a lot of these stickers would work for that as well. Another product I'm wanting to bring in is the Enjoy the Ride collection. And this might seem a little weird, but the photos that I'm documenting are of us spending time at the lake, and then we had a picnic too. And this pattern just screams picnic to me. So if I can include that as well without it being too much, I might try to bring this plaid in too. Now I'm going to be doing my layout a little different from what I normally do. Typically I have my photos and I'm trying to lay those out to determine my background layering. But I have 35 photos and I want to narrow that down. I don't want to scrapbook all 35 photos. So my plan is to start creating the layout in mind that I have a ton of photos, and then place smaller photo mats around so I have an idea of how many photos I can actually fit, and then I will go back and print that many photos. So I'd rather not print the 35 photos. If I can cut that in half or even in thirds, that would be ideal. So let's go ahead and see what I have for scraps first and kind of determine my layout. I've pulled the scraps out, so this is kind of that acorn net pattern, and then I have that plaid, and then I have this Glacier net pattern, and that is just a single that was in the workshop kit. And then I have this Relax in the Sun plus the kayaks. Now I don't know that I want to bring this in because we weren't actually kayaking or fishing or boating, so I might use this side though where it says Relax in the Sun, lake time. Here's that water, and then those paddles. And seeing these colors more closely, I'm thinking this one is exclusive as well, so it's white on one side. I'm actually thinking maybe I do need to stick with one collection. I think this might stick out too much and just be the wrong color palette. That's a lot. So scratch that idea. We are not bringing in this collection. So I cut this busy pattern in half, and that was 5 inches, so I can put 5 inches on each side. I'm thinking busier on the outsides so that it kind of stops your eye and brings you back in. And then this scrap was 8 inches long, so I just cut it by 8 inches tall. Oh, sorry, 8.5. And so I created a square. Now I only have a little piece left from that, and I'll bring it over to this side, but I'm not sure how I want to do that yet. Or maybe I should go like that to continue it. But what I do to one side, I want to do to the other. I want to bring that same pattern over. So I for sure want to bring this half over here, whether that's overlapping like this and having this one centered, or having it all the way butted up against each other and then doing some more patterns. I'm not quite sure yet. I brought in some Seabrook cardstock. So this is Glacier, this is Seabrook. And between these two colors, they match the shirts in my photos. So I think that'll tie in nicely. And I was thinking I could just finish off this. So I'm just going to cut a little more than I know I need. so that it can tuck under. And I ripped it towards myself, so I was revealing that white core. Okay, so over here, if I don't have this one overlapping, you know, I could go like this to that, but otherwise I'll need a 12-inch piece for this side. So I'll cut this one in half and just see if I can use it, but I may end up needing to cut another piece for that. So I can either have this one overlapping, or maybe I can bring in another pattern paper too. So if I wanted to go like that, then maybe I can bring in, I don't want my waves going this direction. I need them going this way. So I don't like that. Although, yeah, I have this paper that I could cut down and maybe do so. This is a new paper, so I'll want to bring that over to this side then if I end up using that over here. And I could even just cut it down a little bit and use it as a tag or an embellishment. I don't need to have a huge piece over on this side, but I do like to have papers going onto both sides. I decided to cut this one down a little bit, and I might actually leave a little gap here and then overlap onto this one. Or I could tuck it under just a smidge and still have it overlap. I don't know, I kind of like it with that little gap though. Okay, and then since I cut this one down a smidge, I have some that I can bring over to this side too. And I might do that with embellishments. I might include some tags. I could just add a little piece up top and a little piece at bottom too. That might look good. What is that, about 3/4 of an inch? I'll cut this down one strip. Okay, so I just cut this down 5 inches long and then 3/4 of an inch wide, so I can put one on each side there. I'm going to bring in my pine ink, that's the color behind all this, and my little foam dauber here, and I'm going to ink around my edges. I only have to do the 3 edges on these ones. Let me know in the comments below how you narrow down your photos. I always take way too many, so a lot of times I just print my favorites and then I try to make them fit on the layout. And other times I do what I'm doing here and I create the layout first, and then it forces me to only print so many photos. Alright, and I'll do the same for these pages. I got the pieces I knew for sure adhered, and then I still have this one. So I could just butt it up against this paper here, and so then it would overlap there, or I could go that route, or even tuck it under there. Maybe I do like it tucked under that one, just adding a little more. Let's do that. Sometimes you don't know until you play around with it which way you like better. I think we'll try to center it, so right about there. Centering it with this one. Now this isn't completely centered. I went 3 and then it's only, 2 inches down and then 1.5 up. So it is further down than it is centered, but I centered this one with this one. And then over here, now we didn't ink all the sides. I think I'll just tuck that right there. And this one down here. And that just brings that same layer over. My knuckles are all beat up. Can you tell I've been working on the camper? Okay, I think I'm about ready to start laying out where I want my photos. So let me grab some photo mats. I ran out of photo placeholders, so I went through and just cut a bunch of my common sizes out of regular computer paper. And I can hang on to these and use them next time. I won't actually use these as my mats or anything. I can print them with the white border, or I have white cardstock. But I just wanted to use these to determine where I want my photos. So I know a lot of my photos were taken horizontally. I have one 4x6 that could be my focal photo, and I know it would be a horizontal one. I don't know that I took any vertical, honestly, maybe a couple. But that could be my focal photo. And then I have a bunch of 3x4s. That's kind of my go-to size. You can fit a lot on there, and the ratio is nice. I have a couple 4x4 and then 3x3s. And I don't know that I'll have many photos that I can crop down to a square. But sometimes adding those different sizes and adding squares and rectangles together on the layout adds a lot of detail. So I could do something like that and then have some 3x3s down here just to change it up a little bit. And then maybe a title or a sticker over on this side. And then since I know I have a lot of horizontal ones, I could bring in the 3x4s. And do something like that. I could even overlap, have them hang off the bottom of that one. I think I have a second one here. They're sticking together on me. And do something like that. And then I could have more embellishments over on this side. So already, I don't have 35, but I already have 6, 7, 8, 9 photos. Plus I could do some flip-flaps on these if I wanted. I'm actually liking that quite a bit. I'm going to go through my phone quick and see which pictures I could have in squares, because I could bring in some more squares onto this side as well. Okay, I cut a few more of the 3x3s, and I actually do think I have enough photos that I could do, that I could crop down to a 3x3. Now, one of the stickers I want to use is this, "Come on in, the water is fine." And so I'm trying to figure out how I want my photos placed so that I can use that. I got my photos printed. So the 4x6, I decided to do this one. It's my favorite picture that we took all night. My husband took it of me riding into the sunset on my paddleboard. So that'll be my focal photo. We were out with friends, so I really like this one too. That might go on that left-hand side. And I'm thinking if I put like a title or embellishments over here. And then I have another one that's horizontal. I couldn't cut it down to a square. I have 3 of those. And then I have one vertical 4x3 that I couldn't cut down to a square. I didn't want to lose any heads or anything. And then these are all the ones that I was able to crop down to squares. So lots of the family, and this is the whole reason I wanted to bring that "Come on in, the water's fine." My husband, he was trying to get on his paddleboard, and the first time we went out, it was great. He got on just fine. Everybody stayed dry. And then the second time, I think he got a little too confident and dove right in. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said was, "The water's fine, come on in." So the layout I'm thinking now, so instead of doing the squares on this side, I thought maybe I could do something like that. And then have my title or a cluster over here. And then maybe go like this. I'm not quite sure yet. Or maybe do a flip flap here. How was I thinking this? Oh, I was thinking I could do one over here. And then maybe go like that, or yeah, something like that. Not quite sure how I want these yet, or which one I want over on this side because of that title. If I didn't want to bring in any flip flaps, I could do something like this and have a strip of photos along here. And then my 2 horizontals, something like that. The lighting on this one was so different. I think that was the first time we went out, so it was brighter, sunnier, and then we went back out at sunset. I removed the adhesive off of some of my stickers so that I could play around with them. So I have fresh air and sunshine. I know that's a canoe and we were on paddle boards, but it doesn't have to be literal, right? Maybe I do want to find a home for this one over on that side. I don't know. I have finally decided on my layout. So I don't have to bring in a flip flap if I do the 3 horizontal ones over here. And then I just separated these two since they're similar. And then over here, I kind of wanted the come in the water, it's fine, next to my husband falling into the water. So I like how this is coming together. And then over here, I wanted to have an embellishment cluster. So I cut this circle out of the Spotlight on Nature. You've seen me use these dies a lot of times. They have some that have the floral edging, some that have that dash edging, and then kind of that stripe. So I love these. They come in all different sizes. So I cut this one out using that dashed one, and that'll go right about here, I think. And that'll help cover up my armpit shot there. And this is for those other 2.5-inch photos. So those I'll lay out in a grid here. Not quite sure which order I want. And then I pulled off both of these stickers and removed the adhesive. And I was kind of playing around with these. And that one doesn't look too bad. This one brings in more of that Glacier kind of color that's in this paper. I could even end up using both maybe. I'm not sure. So pulled those off the sticker sheet. And then these are also stickers. I have the Make a Splash and then that little paddle. So I thought maybe we could add those to an embellishment cluster over here. I also have this bag of the die cuts that they're cardstock and you just punch them out from the collection. From the workshop kit. Oh my goodness, I'm dropping everything. So in those punch outs, they had a circle. And that's kind of in that Seabrook color. So that kind of matches that torn edge. And then I have this hexagon that's in kind of a Glacier color. And then I have a couple banners. So I could bring some of these over to help bring that color over here, or I could switch out this circle for maybe that one. That's a little too big, I think. This circle's even a little bigger. I could add that stitching onto this circle. Which one did I use? I think it was this one. So I could cut this one out and just add that stitching right around there. That would bring in more of that Seabrook color. Which color do I like better? And it would add a little texture. Maybe I should do that instead. I do like how that brings more of that and the texture around it. That is nice. Okay, let's start adhering some of our photos down so we can play with the embellishments. Could maybe bring this one over to this side to bring that circle element over. I am going to pop up the word water on 3D foam tape, and these are Stampin' Up's 3D hexagons. They're actually really cool. So there's no paper in between them. They line up nicely. There's a little bit around the edge that you could use for something, but yeah, and they're a little bit larger, so they work perfectly putting on the center of these. And I'm actually going to start on that right hand side above the sun. I don't want to cover my sun right here. So I think right about there. So then I can just have it go off the picture that direction. I will have Stampin' Up's 3D foam linked in the description box. And they're pretty easy to line up because there's that water line where there's trees in the background. Okay, and then Come On In is gonna go right about here. I decided to use the Sunrise Boat Waves and Lake Days. I liked the length of it, so I'm thinking of putting that here, and then I can kind of cover up the rest of the tag with this circle, so then I can incorporate that. And then over here I have another sage one, so that could go right about there. And I could stamp some more embellishments. Could also bring it down here. I don't want it to be too much in line with this. I want your eye to be able to travel. I cut out a few more circles and I brought out some stamp sets. So I cut that hexagon into a circle. Thought maybe that color would be nice. It didn't cut all the way through, so I'm just punching those out here. There we go. So that one could go up here. And then I also cut one out of Seabrook, so I could bring another one over here. Or if I wanted this to be the cluster, so if we took that about there, and then bring this back in. I like that. It helps that kind of angle. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive here. That just adds a little more detail up there, and it kind of helps that as a cluster. So now I have my visual triangle with my circles. The stamps I brought out, I have the Remember This Moment from Close to My Heart, and I have Captured Memories, Friendship. So these are our friends. We could do one of those and maybe stamp that on these circles. I have The Water Is My Happy Place, would fit perfectly on a circle. It's not a kayak, it is a paddleboard, but it doesn't have to be literal again. This one is one of the newer Close to My Heart ones that Stampin' Up! Sold. Capture the Adventure. So we have bestie, smiles, the fun, memories, and of course cameras work perfect with any layout. And then this was another one that, this actually goes with the Lake Life collection. So I could do the Lake Life on one, or Welcome to the Lake. I could stamp that across one of these. I stepped away from my layout for a little while so I could think about my embellishments. I decided to add some trees to my embellishments. I thought it was just too many words, not enough images. So I added some trees just from my stash, and I cut those in pine and in the sage color. And then I stamped out the paddle on some Seabrook cardstock, and then I just fussy cut that. I didn't want to use the die cut it came with because that would have left more paper around the edges, so I cut very closely to the edge of that paddle. So there's hardly any of the paper showing around there. And I'm liking how these clusters turned out. I think the trees and the paddles just finished it off nicely. I did add a few of Stampin' Up's gems to the clusters. So those are some Faceted Gems. I'll link some in the description box below. I added a little bit of shading with some ink around my trees. This one's popped up on 3D foam tape. This is popped up on 3D foam tape. This is where my journaling will go, so I'll get that put in there before I put that in my book. The Into the Sunset, I used Let's Kayak Into the Sunset, and I just masked the Let's Kayak and then stamped it on some white cardstock, and then I fussy cut it so that I could cut between the words there. This one's a sticker. This is just white cardstock that I stamped on, and then I cut it into a strip. I hope this brought you some ideas for you to narrow down your photos. Sometimes it helps to create the layout first and then add your photos to the layout. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and until next time, live a life worth scrapping.